was honestly thinking that about you. I would say no. I'm the lucky one. No, you're the great person. So I would always. I never felt that I was truly. You know, um, as wonderful as you made me, seem to be, or as you said I was, I should say. Um, but then I thought all of those things about you, and how amazing you are, and you truly are, in so many different ways. So I'm sorry that I deceived you.
Yeah, me too.
Um, and I think you know by now that, you know, my son, Cruz, is the actual most important thing to me. And there, stop. And I do try to set an example for him. I do try to raise him properly. All those things I said about Cruz and those things are all true. And I think I mentioned to you a couple of times that I want Cruz to find love and whether it's with a man or a woman, but I just want him to be happy. That's all I want for him, is for my son to be happy. And so I know that I'm not the best example in terms of what a man should be, but I try to be. I try really, really hard to do the right thing. And I know that I fail many times, but it doesn't stop me from trying.
All right.
So that said, excuse me. Um, I have lied to you about who I am and my marital status.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, excuse me, um, everything that I told you about my marriage and why it ended was true, but it wasn't applicable to my marriage. That was from a relationship that I was in, a previous relationship. Now, I'm unhappily married in what has been a unhappily and sexless marriage for the past 5 years. And so I tried for all these years to just go to couples therapy, and we had gone to couples therapy, and we tried to work on things, but we just couldn't get past many of our own issues. And so that led to depression of sorts, or not of sorts, but led to depression for her, excuse me, and for myself. I never wanted to take any. I mean, it wasn't a point where I was necessarily where I felt depressed, but I knew that that something was going on with me, and I do talk to a therapist. And my therapist helps me cope with things. But just recently, I started exploring outside of my marriage. And I know that the things that I've done excuse me, aren't okay. I realize that I've hurt you. I realize that I've probably added to your fears and whatnot about relationships. And so I'm sorry about that. I was looking for an outlet for myself, I think. I was looking for something to bring some happiness to my life. And so selfishly, that's what I did. Not really thinking about the consequences that they would have on Cruz and for my marriage. You know, I do love her. But we don't spend that much time together. You know, and I've always wanted for our marriage to work. Always. And you can question, excuse me, you can question what I've done and question whether or not, you know, how that equates to me wanting our marriage to work. I don't know the answer to that either. I know that I've made many mistakes.
What was your end game with me?
I don't know. I didn't have anything in mind. I mean, I don't know. I guess I never had a plan. I don't know. really, really don't know.
You know, Friday, I already pretty much knew that you were married. And I wasn't ready to let you go yet. And I think I was hoping that you would come clean to me or something, or that there would be some kind of explanation that was acceptable.
You know, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was going to say something, but go ahead.
No, but it's, and then I think, once I set up that fake profile on Bumble. I think the day after Christmas or so, when you were being strange then. And I was swiping through, hoping that I would not find your profile. And I didn't. And then I felt really bad. Like, why am I doubting him? Like, I really felt bad for doubting you. And so I didn't think about it again until you started acting weird again this time. And then I was like, something in my gut just told me to go look again. And then I found you. And you answered. And there was really, there was really no explanation that you could have that would make that okay. From the outside looking in, you're somebody who is unhappy in your marriage and is willing to let other people take on the risk and the pain.
No, I mean, I know I have a ton of risk myself.
No, you know what you're getting into, though. You know what I mean? It'd be different if you were upfront about it.
Right, yeah.
You're not giving people any choice. And then you're gaslighting them about it. You're making them doubt their own sanity.
What? I don't know what that term means, to be honest. What does gaslighting mean?
When somebody senses something that's true and you find ways to turn it around to try to make them doubt themselves and to doubt their own perception. That's messing with somebody's
You said
mind.
I was doing that to you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you did it.
I guess since I'm not doing with the term, I'm not really how I would have been doing that to you.
Well, all the times that you were, I don't know, I guess busy with your family or busy with somebody else, and you weren't responding to me, and I was sensing that, and then you turn it around and say that it was me who was pulling away. And even
the reality is that you did send me a message the other day saying that you're sorry that you haven't been as available. That was like maybe 4 days ago.
No, I just told you I was sorry I was being a little bit quiet that day. That was on Sunday.
That's what I meant.
That was on Sunday. And to be honest, you were the one being quiet. And I was apologizing for it to try to jog you out of it. And you knew that. You knew that you were the one who was being not responsive. So, and even just now, when I told you about, and when I sent you the screenshot, and you immediately spun it that it was my fault because I'd been pulling away from you. So you created that account because I'd pushed you away. That's gaslighting. And that's not okay to do to people.
Well, it was it was my defense at that moment.
Yeah, it was your instinct to try to protect yourself instead of own it. That's an issue with your ego. That's a narcissism thing. So I guess what was the plan? I guess just like use me, and then when that got too dicey for you, or I started asking too many questions, then you move on to somebody else.
Like I said, I'd say I didn't have a plan. I wasn't thinking ahead in terms of what the outcome was going to be. I don't know. I guess I'm not that intelligent.
Well, listen, we're still in the same place. You know, I'm out here on the limb holding like all the risk, right? If something happens to me, right?
So, I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. Say that again. If something what?
If something happens to me health wise, I don't I don't have any way to.
Well, I can go and take a. I can go and get tested. I got tested a few months ago, and I know.
I want your information because I don't want to have to do what you and I both know I can do.
Right. Well, no, like I said, I've lied to you about who I am. You know, I'll send you a picture of my driver's license. It'll have my real name. Well, by the way, my name is Antonio. It's my middle name, but that's what I go by.
What's your first name?
Marco.
What's your last name?
Cortez is a family name.
Yeah, I need you to send that to me. And I'm not going to do anything with it as long
I'm
as
sorry,
I said
I can't.
I said I need you to send that to me. And I'm not going to do anything with it as long as I'm fine, you know? But honestly, like, you have to understand that technically it's rape by deception.
I'm not sure what that is, to be honest with you.
Well, it's when you get somebody to sleep with you under false pretenses, holding yourself out to be somebody that you're not, with a life that you don't have. And it's a whole legal thing. And as long as I'm fine, then, you know, you don't have to worry about it. But what you did is really fucked up. And I'm not going to walk away without some insurance that if something happens to me that I can't protect my interests. I'm a single mother. My kids are the most important thing to me. And you put me in a really shitty position.
I understand that.
And no, you did not add to my fears about trusting people, because if anything, it just reinforced that my gut is right and that I should listen to it more.
And when I was saying that, I didn't mean it to sound like I was giving myself too much credit. I noticed that, or I kind of felt that right away when I was saying that, but I guess I didn't have a better way of putting it.
Like, aside from anything else, aside from like any potential follow up, from me, which I hope I don't ever have to do, you fucked yourself karmically. I feel really bad for you. How many others were there before me?
So, about 3 years ago was the first time that I went on a dating app. And I met, um, I met a woman who I was only, we got out on maybe 3 or 4 dates. And she lived in Chicago, or she lives in Chicago. And to this day, her and I are friends. She's actually pregnant, and with her ex, I'm sorry, I don't mean to say to this day. When I finally stopped talking to her, we were still friends. But we do have a mutual acquaintance, and I just found out that she is pregnant with a guy that she was engaged 2 years ago that I found out, that she told me about. So my wife found out about that, and it was a completely platonic thing between her and I. Other than, I mean, we went on dates, but we never kissed. We never did anything sexual at all. Far from it. I enjoyed her company, and she was more of an outlet for me to talk to. And my wife found out about it, and it devastated her. Um, it was it was a hard time for us because this was fairly recent after cruise. And then I told I told Nancy about it. Excuse me. I told her about my situation, that I was actually married, because my wife wanted to see me text her And so I was texting her in front of my wife. Excuse me. So I was texting in front of my wife, and I told her that, that I was married, and that I'm sorry, and whatnot. And from that point on, we weren't in touch.
How long ago was that?
I don't know, I'm really bad with timelines and everything, but 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. And we lost touch. We weren't in touch anymore. And then well, I was just saying that my wife was really upset because I was having essentially an emotional affair. That's because I felt like I wasn't able to talk to my wife, and like I said, I needed someone to talk to, and that's probably the shittiest way to go about it. I mean, I could have found a friend, made a friend, somebody. Because like I said, I told you before that I don't, I don't have any friends outside of my family. They are my closest friends. But a lot of times I just can't talk to them. Certainly not about these things.
Mm-hmm.
Layla knows. She's the only one who knows about everything.
And so I think the question was, how many were there?
Oh, sorry. 2 women. I mean, I went on a date with. I went on a few dates here and there, but 2 women that I actually made a connection with, and really had something with, beyond the first date, and we were talking and just, communicating, getting to know each other. And the other one was also another one from Chicago. And the other one from Chicago, my wife found out about also. But in terms of tested. I honestly was tested, and nothing. I've only been tested twice. Excuse me. I've only been tested. I've only been tested twice, and I never had any cause for concern. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry. I never had any cause for concern. For all those years, being married and everything else. And I still never had any concern the last time I got tested. I just got tested just to get tested.
And when was that?
A year ago, maybe. And of course, everything was fine.
Why did you ask me to go to Barcelona with you?
Because it was something that was real.
You knew there was no way to actually do it without revealing that you're not who you said you were.
Well, I guess again, I don't know how I can express this to you without, or so that it makes sense to you. But excuse me. I'm sorry that I keep clearing my throat. I just woke up like that this morning. The way you and I were communicating early on is what I wanted. That's what I've always wanted all along, was to be able to talk to somebody and communicate with them. And that's what it's always been about with me. I always needed an outlet, and I wasn't smart enough to seek it any other way. My wife has pushed me to take drawing classes to sharpen up my skills and everything else, because I haven't drawn for a while. So she motivates me to do those things, and she motivates me to go out and establish friendships, or at least acquaintances, with other people. Because I do work from home. It's I don't get to see many people, or very many people, on a daily basis, and the only interaction I have is with my boss and a few colleagues, and that's it. And so for me, I was getting very lonely, and like I said, I wasn't happy in my marriage. There was many things that were wrong in my marriage, but I'd never makes no sense. But I never want to hurt her. I still love her. Clearly, I love my son. But I didn't know how else to do it. I really had no idea.
It's staggering sometimes when I look back and think about all the tiny things you must have lied about.
Hang on, say that again.
I said it's staggering to me sometimes when I look back and I think about all the tiny things that I know you must have lied about. Like the whole exchange that you made up with Susan about me. Such like active deception.
No. That was real.
Oh, Susan knows that you see other people?
Susan knows that I'm unhappy. She went through something similar herself, which she shared, but again, I'm not someone who puts myself out there very much. I think I told you that I'm an introverted extrovert. So there's certain things that I will put out there about myself, and there's maybe things that I won't. And it's not because I'm hiding something. It's just that I don't want other people to know. I told you like about the way I talk. And I just don't want other people listening to my conversation or knowing things about me that I don't want them to know about. Again, it's not about that. Not that I'm hiding anything. It could be family members that I'm dealing with that I'm keeping things from. It's just like everyday things that I don't tell them about. Because I don't feel that they need to be privy about those things. And again, it's nothing that I'm doing wrong or nothing malicious, nothing. It's just that I don't want to share certain things
early on
with certain people.
Early on, when we first started talking, you sent me a text message that you were over at your cousin's house and you were showing them my pictures on Bumble and they were talking about how cute we'd be together. And like clearly that was a lie. Come on.
I'm trying to think here.
You went over to help with you helped install a light.
So.
And you were like, "Oh, I was showing them your photos on Bumble." Pilar said we'd be so cute together.
Yeah. So, excuse me. So my cousin Nancy. So there's a woman from Chicago who's Nancy, and I actually have two cousins. I have two cousins named Nancy. One is an actual blood relative. The other one is married into the family, but we still call each other cousins. We don't say my cousin's wife or whatever. So my cousin Nancy that I've spoken to you quite a bit about, or that I mentioned her in conversation. She is one of my closest family members, one of my closest friends. And last summer, sorry, not this past summer that passed, but the previous summer, so 2017. Um, that's when I had um, my last relationship outside of my marriage. Um, at that point, my wife let many people know in her circle. She never said anything to my family, but I talked to Layla about it. And I told her exactly what was happening, and I kind of prepared her. I was kind of preparing her for what could happen, I guess, if you will. Um, and so we're not sure who, but we have an idea of who, but um, somebody within my wife's circle mistakenly, or who knows, this is what we understand, that they kind of let Nancy know by accident. And so Nancy found out and she talked to me. And she's like, hey, she's like, this is what I found out. I don't know if it's true or not, but I wanted to talk to you about it. And I confirmed it for her. And I told her, yeah, we were having difficulties. And she was surprised, as was my sister Layla. She didn't think that, in terms of just outside appearances, it just seemed like everything was going very, very well with us. And so she said that she would have never suspected. And I didn't share all of the details with Nancy about my marriage. But I owned it. I told her that yes, that I was going outside of my marriage, so I owned it. And so she was asking me questions, and I felt comfortable with her because we are so close. And she was upset with me that I never talked to her about it in terms of what my feelings were and everything that I was going through and whatnot. So she was kind of upset with me about it. She said because I could have talked to you and maybe we could have you know done something about it before you felt like you had to go outside your marriage. So long story short, so um, she knows about some of the things that I've done, and she knows that I am unhappy. I have my bad days and I have my good days, you know, in my marriage. Um, so when I was over there, uh, I was messaging with you. I'm pretty sure I was messaging with you on Bumble, and she walked into the kitchen. Or I didn't realize that she was standing right behind me. I was leaning up on her counter, and excuse me. I was leaning on her counter, and I was messaging with you, and so she was standing behind, and she's like, "Who's that?" And I just looked at her, and it was, excuse me. I looked at her, and I was a little nervous. Um, I wasn't quite sure what to say, and she said, "Are you seeing her?" And I said, "We're just talking. We're getting to know each other." And I wasn't sure what to say to her, and she grabbed my phone and she was looking, And she looked at the picture. She's like, well, she's very pretty. She's like, if you guys were to end up together someday, she's like, you guys would make a really good couple. And then my, and then her husband walked into the kitchen, and he said, what are you guys looking at? And she showed her the pictures, but she didn't say anything to him about what they were. And he's like, oh yeah, look, she's very pretty. And that was it. My cousin is or her husband is very reserved. You know, he doesn't say a whole lot. You know, he's a good guy. He's just kind of a quiet person. You know, but then that was it. And later that night, before I left, she asked me, she was like, so are you dating her? And I was like, no. I said, we're not dating. I said, we're just talking, getting to know each other. And she's like, well, she's like, just whatever it is that this is, she's like, just be careful. And that was it. The other day, she did ask about you. It was on Sunday. She said, hey, she's like, we were in the kitchen with everybody else. And she kind of just got leaned in close. So she's like, hey, she's like, whatever happened to that woman? And I was like, well, I'll tell you about it later. And that was it. You know, we didn't get a chance to talk. You know, I don't see her that often, where we have a chance to communicate and whatnot. You know, but I don't know what I was going to tell her, but I just said to just kind of um, change the conversation. You know, I said I'll tell you about it later or whatever. You know, that's all I said to her. You know.
How many other women have you talked to while you were talking to me?
I didn't. I took down my profile instantly.
Yeah, I know you took it down, but then you put it back up.
Oh, well, honestly, I did that like 2 days ago. I swear I did that like 2 days ago.
Sunday?
Yeah, I think so.
Why?
Because in all honesty, excuse me, it did. To me, you know, and I'm not putting anything on you. I'm not trying to turn things around to make it seem like it was you, but to me, it honestly did feel like you were pulling away. It really, really did feel that way to me.
Sunday was the first day that we were quiet with each other. So literally that same day that...
No, I think that was the day that you were having your concerns, wasn't it? I mean,
that was the day that I expressed to you that I'd watched the documentary and that it had been triggering for me. And you didn't really care. You didn't really ask or express like any desire to want to know why. Like, you were just busy, and so it doesn't add up for you to say it's because I was pulling away from you. If anything, I was the one messaging you that day and you weren't getting back to me. Like, at this point, everything's out of the table. We just own it. Like, one more like shitty thing isn't gonna change the balance.
Wait, no, I'm being open with you. I think that I'm answering your questions and I'm being completely honest with you.
Well, that answer doesn't add up.
I'm sorry. I mean, that's.
I mean, I think for you, just.
I think that was the day. I think on Saturday was the day that you said you were having.
No, Saturday you and I were fine.
Okay,
for whatever reason. I mean, I don't know. Like, it wasn't fun for you anymore, or you'd gotten what you wanted to get, or whatever. Like.
No, that's not it at all, Andrea. That's not it at all. I think that. I think that. So we started talking about this whole R. Kelly thing. And, just making the rounds. And it's the first time that I can remember, at least in my terrible memory, about something that was so huge in terms of there being talks about, this grown man molesting, sexually abusing these young girls, and hearing about all these things from so that are on the news or podcasts that I listen to or whatnot. It brought back some of my own situation, which my situation, I guess, was different in a sense. And this is something that I was actually talking to my wife about yesterday. She knows about things that my father did to me. She doesn't know everything because she stopped going to therapy with me when this came out, because it actually came out in therapy when I was with her, and I broke down. And she said that I never told her. I said, yeah, I've never told you. I've never really told anyone. The only one that I shared it with mildly was with Layla, and she didn't believe me. So I was telling her about these things, and in therapy, a lot of these things were coming out because that's where my therapist revealed that I had a form of PTSD, and I was repressing all these thoughts and memories. And while in talking to her, so much came out that I had forgotten about, that I had been just filed away. And as we talked, more and more memories came out. And so the point of the conversation I had with my wife was that I said, I don't know. I said, I don't know if this is the case, but I think that some people like R. Kelly and I said to her, like my father. I said, I don't know if this is the case because I've never really cared to look into it or research it or find out more about it. I just left it alone. But I said, I think that when people do that, I said, I think they go after a very specific group of people. They don't just kind of, like R. Kelly, he seemed to the 13, 14, 15-year-olds, whatever. And the supervisor started going a little bit older in age. And I said, I think, and I think some men, the men that like the 1 and 2, 3-year-olds, whatever. I said, they probably don't go past that. They probably wouldn't look at a teenage boy and have those same thoughts as they would about a 1-year-old or 2-year-old. And I said, and some people also, like if a woman, you hear all the stories about high school teachers or school teachers having sex with students. Like I wonder if they're interested, if they were to do this with someone older than high school age kids, would they do this with someone that's 30, 40 years old, that's their peer in terms of their age, so.
The answer is it's different. It's different for each person because it comes down to power. It comes down to feeling like you have power over somebody and that somebody is able to be controlled and that there's a power imbalance. And that's why I was talking about what I was talking about with you this morning first, because take the age out of it. And in a way, you went after me. And there was a power imbalance from the beginning because of what you knew and because of what I didn't know. And there were so many things along the way of me willingly acquiescing power to you over certain things. Just because I felt that we had that trusting relationship. And I was in it in good faith. And you knew that that's not what was going on. And yet you enjoyed it and you partook in it and you proactively kept the deception going. You looked me in my eyes the other day and told me about all the different events that you wanted to bring me to with you. There was so much active deception going on. And there had to be some thrill for you when you were doing it, that you felt you were getting one over on me.
Excuse me. Well, let me get back to what I was saying.
Well, I started asking you about why you made your new profile and why you made the new profile. And it took the circuitous route of talking about the R. Kelly thing.
Well, no, I just started, I don't recall exactly your question, but I think what I was going to say was that, it started to bring back thoughts of my father and what he did to me. And the things that I went through, but I never really connected the two between what R. Kelly had done to these girls and what my father did to me. And for a minute, it made me. Then when I finally thought about it, and when I finally connected the two, it made me get a little. It didn't take me to a dark place, but it made some of those thoughts were coming back into my mind, and I was remembering certain things and certain moments and details and whatnot about what he had done to me. Oh, because you asked why. I think you were asking why I was pulling away, and I told you that I wasn't trying to put it on you. I honestly did feel like that you were doing that, but maybe I was and I just didn't realize it. But again, with all this talk about R. Kelly, everything else, it just, for some reason, I wasn't relating my own personal situation to it. You know, because I don't like to think about it very much. I think is why I wasn't making that personal connection to it. But I know what I went through. You know, I'm sure it's not much more different from what some of these women went through, or girls. Actually, they were girls at the time. You know, and I don't know. I don't. Sometimes I think about it, but I don't research anything because I generally just I have no interest in doing it. But I wonder what effect, if any, I don't know, my father doing those things to me, how that affected me. I really don't know. I mean, I know what comes out in therapy, you know, and I know what memories come out, and you know, for me, therapy isn't a cure to anything. They certainly don't cure anything within me. They don't. It doesn't help me to forget these things. For me, it's just an outlet. It's a way for me to talk to someone and get some of these memories out in the open. And she has helped me. She has helped me quite a bit with remembering these things. I don't know if it's good or bad. You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know that because I broke it down many times in therapy. You know, remembering some of these things and some of these things I just can't get out because I get so emotional. I think you've seen that in me in person, and I know you've heard it over the phone. When I start to get emotional, I get emotional very quickly. You know, and so sometimes it's just difficult to talk about the things that I went through, and I'm sure it's difficult for you to talk about things that you went through. But I think since you've managed to take your experiences and turn them around and use them as a as a positive to help other people, you know, I don't know if this is the right thing to say, but it probably isn't. But I'm gonna say it. I mean, in terms of me thinking, and in terms of the way I look at it, it's like you came out on top. You kind of like won, if you will. And I think you said something similar to me. Maybe not in those exact words, but something along those lines. Um, you know, and I'm not there. I'm not a person who has been able to take this and own it and be a champion for the people the way you've been able to do with your situation, you know.
It's not even about being a champion for the people, but it's about not harming other people with the damage that was done to you. And, you know, yeah, I'm really, really strong. I'm really strong. And that's probably what drew you to me. Because I do think there's some narcissism happening with you. And narcissists do tend to draw on the strength of people like me. And it's not okay. You know, you have to work your shit out. And at least, like, you're willfully taking from other people to fill up what you're missing. And you're willfully leaving them with the emotional debt from that while you just move along to the next thing. You don't stop and take inventory like you go to therapy, but like you said, you don't research, you don't like go the extra mile to try to heal yourself so that you're not toxic to other people. You do not deserve for me to be as kind to you as I'm being. Um, but because of the kind of person that I am, I do hope that you change, and I hope that you become better because of this, and that it holds up a mirror to you in a way that you haven't seen before. And I'm really pissed at you for doing this to me.
I'm sorry that I took advantage of you. That I lied to you. You didn't deserve any of it. You certainly didn't ask for any of it.
Thank you for taking some time to satisfy my curiosity. Um, I don't have any intention of blowing up your life, but I do want you to send me what I asked for, and then I don't want to talk to you again. I know.
And I selfishly did all these things. I did it for my own gain, whatever gain that was. Like I said, you didn't deserve any of it. No one does, especially you. The things that you've experienced in your life and however strong it made you, and the way that you take all the bad that has happened to you and turn that around into nothing but absolute positivity and the want and need. I don't know if that's innate in you or if that's something that kind of came out in you more after going through what you've been through, but the way that you have chosen to help other people out, not just with something that most people do, like in their spare time, you know, like what I do, go and help out, a couple hours a week, or whatever the case is. You've taken that and you've made you made it your career to help other people out and to educate them and to create awareness. And I mean, just the help that you did, or that you gave to Debbie and her baby, that is, I kept feeling and kept thinking that that is beyond anything I could have ever have done, and more than most people would do. And I can tell how much that affected you. And so just all that goodness in you and all the positivity, none of that deserved me.
Well, make it worth something then.
I'm sorry?
I said make it worth something then. Work on yourself. You know, if you really mean that, then don't do it to somebody else. Face your loneliness and your unhappiness and the problem of what to do with your marriage. Face it. Deal with it. You don't want to hurt her. You don't want to be the bad guy. But if things aren't right, it's not okay for you to be a coward and to make other people hurt so that you can feel good for a minute. Like, women like me are not the sacrificial lamb so that you can be happy with your life or so that you can eke out another year in an unhappy marriage. Like, we're more than that.
You're right. And that's why so I'll just say this and I'll let you go on. I know you have work to do and everything. You know, just a minute ago I said that I think that therapists aren't there to necessarily cure you of whatever it is that's affecting you, whatever it is, whatever reason you want to see them.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's an outlet. You know, it's a way it's a means to talk to somebody. You know, I can be honest and open about things and know that there's not going to be any repercussion. You know, so yes, I have honestly told them about the things that I've done, and I haven't gotten to see a therapist in maybe a month and a half or so. And it always isn't about the things that I've done. It's not about, you know, me going outside of my marriage. That's not always the conversation. A lot of times it's about how's your life going? You know, what's new with you? What, you know, a lot of times I just sit there and I talk and I just talk about whatever's on my mind. You know, she doesn't direct the conversation. Sometimes she will steer it, you know, in certain ways, but very seldomly. You know, and so this is my only experience with a therapist because I was going to see her for couples counseling, and then she also does individual. So my wife left her and she went to go and talk to somebody else, and I stayed with her. So she knows my whole situation. was still going to couples counseling. That's when everything came out about my father. And so I talk and I talk and I talk and I talk. But like I said, seldomly does she challenge me, which I noticed is what you were just doing right now. She never told me to. She never said the things that you did. I'm not going to try to paraphrase. But,
Yeah, Amir.
But the things that you said made me think. You said to change it so that I don't do it again. She's never once said that to me. She's never challenged me to think beyond what I'm telling her. So she'll question things that I'm telling her, but she never provokes new thoughts in me or gives me homework to say, I need you to do this and you think about that, nothing like that. So maybe I do need to go talk to someone who will do those things. And I don't know how to find that person. I don't know how to find a therapist like that. I don't know. I'll have to do my own research, I guess. But maybe it isn't. Maybe I've been wrong in the sense that maybe they are there to help you more than with just talking and expressing your feelings and thoughts and everything. Maybe there needs to be more of a dialogue and not just me talking for 50 minutes.
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's pretty valuable to have somebody who will call you on your bullshit. And if your therapist isn't doing that, then yeah, you should evaluate that.
I never thought about that, to be honest with you. Yeah. But anyway.
Okay.
Thank you for being so good to me.
Yeah.
Okay. What's that?
I said okay.
I'll send that information to you.
I appreciate it. All right.
You take care.
Yeah. You too.